Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Nostalgia Factor. And today, guys, is going to be a long one. This is my yearly collection video. So today's video, guys, is going to be featuring my entire Final Fantasy VII collection, plus the new Pokemon collection that I started surrounding Pokemon Gen 3 from the Hoenn games and the manga, as well as Pokemon Ranger. That's a pretty extensive Final Fantasy Pokemon collection. If you guys have watched my previous videos, you might recognize some of this merch, but I've gotten a lot more stuff since then because it's been over a year or so. And for those of you who are new here that want to see the full collection, welcome. This will be new to all of you. That being said, though, guys, I'm going to take you through every piece of merch I currently have in my collection. Obviously, after this video, I'll continue to acquire merchandise for said collection, and I'll probably end up doing another major update video probably next year sometime, once I, of course, accumulate more items for said collection. So, without any further ado, guys, let us get right here into my full-blown Final Fantasy VII and Pokemon collection. Let's get started. Alright guys, so first thing right off the bat here in this corner of the room, this is a very rare advertisement for Star Ocean, the second evolution. Now it's not Final Fantasy VII or Pokemon related. What I will say is, though, this was a game that I was really hyped for a while back. I played Star Ocean Second Story R, the remake, and it was actually a really good game. I was doing some research on eBay, came across an ad from the UK that was used in an actual store, and ended up getting it framed up. So this is a pretty unique piece of RPG merch here in the collection. Absolutely love this thing. Definitely one of the rare pieces in the collection. It was a double-sided poster, and this was definitely the cooler side by far. So, this is the very first major piece that I got for the Modern Day collection, and if you're interested, check on eBay. You might be able to find some for yourself. But really cool one to start off the collection. If we transition down here, nothing too special to speak of, but this here, I've been accumulating volumes of the Pokemon Adventures manga. If you guys can see here, I have the entire Ruby and Sapphire line, as well as like a big art book down here, some of the comic books. Over here I have one of Pokemon Horizons as well. And these are all really cool. I love Gen 3, Hoenn, my favorite region. Pokemon Emerald is one of my favorite games of all time. In fact, a few of my tattoos are actually inspired from the Gen 3 Adventures manga, because I love Ruby and Sapphire. That being said, though, this is a really cool way to start off the manga part of the collection for Gen 3. Obviously, I'm aiming to get the other volumes as time goes on, but of course I'm going to get my favorite generation first. Just makes the most sense to me. Over here, another piece I picked up for the Pokemon collection is actually a pretty rare one. This is a promotional bandana released in Japan for the release of Pokemon Emerald. This is actually a really cool one. I had no idea this thing existed, but it's based off the bandana that the female protag, or May, as she's known in the games, wears. And it's actually pretty cool, all things considered. 45 centimeters. It's just a really cool piece of merch. I know that there's a glove or a wristband that exists as well that the male protag or Brendan wears from the games, so I might end up picking that up at some point too. But this ended up being a really cool one. Again, check it out on eBay if you're interested. If we transition over here at the start, we have the start of the Final Fantasy side of the collection, and Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time, so this is what really started my collection. Over here is a Shinra ID card in a tin. It's actually something I got a little while ago. I really like this thing. The tin here is in good shape. There's a Shinra ID card within it, basically showing that you're a member of the Shinra Corporation. Pretty cool. This was a pre-order bonus when the original remake came out, so nothing too exciting, so to speak, but definitely a cool little collectible. Over here, if we look, this is another piece of Star Ocean merch. This is one of the promotional cards that came out. Those are 3 characters from the game. Really nice illustrative artwork. They actually have a lot of these, apparently. A lot of trading cards of the characters and different scenes from the game. This just happened to be a really cool one that I came across, and I absolutely love the artwork on this thing. So, just another oddball RPG piece here. Not really for the greater collection, but pretty cool. Down here, if we look, we have the final copy of Final Fantasy VI for the Super Famicom. There's some Final Fantasy VI merch mixed into this thing as well, along with 10. But pretty cool, just a unusual copy of the game. Over here we have 4 figures from the Final Fantasy X Coke figure line. I also love Final Fantasy X, one of my favorite games of all time. Final Fantasy X has some pretty cool merch come out, including a collaboration with the Coca-Cola Company back in the early 2000s. And these here, you can see Tidus, Yuna, we have Waka, and we have Auron. So, I have 4 more Coke figures like this. These are available on lots or individually on eBay if you're interested. There are cool promotional figures released in collaboration with Coca-Cola, so pretty nice all things considered. Very nice detailing. Over here we have a rare Banpresto plush of Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. Absolutely love this thing as well. There are of course other plush lines out there like Barret and Red 13, but these were originally released back in 1998, so these are pretty old. Pretty nice detailing on it. It's in pretty good shape for how old it is. I'm not a huge plush guy, all things considered, but if it's for my favorite game, of course I'm going to get it. But this ended up being a really cool one for the collection. Definitely rare. Up here we have the original copy of Final Fantasy VII I bought and played for the first time, so pretty cool little pickup there nonetheless. Up here is actually two pieces of Pokemon merch I got. To the left here is a promotional item for Pokemon Horizons. This was a bread sticker of all things. A sticker that apparently released with a Japanese company line of bread that someone salvaged and sold for a few bucks on eBay. Pretty cool item if you're a fan of the anime. And it's just really nice. I like the character of Liko. Over here is a newer addition to the Gen 3 side of the collection. This is a Pokemon Ranger promotional pin. I love Pokemon Ranger, a very underrated series, or sub-series of Pokemon. The original is, of course, my favorite. Very nostalgic for this game. But this was a promotional button or pin that was given out for promotion of the game. And honestly, I didn't pick it up for too much. It was like 15, 20 bucks off of eBay. There's not a ton of Ranger merch out there, but this was definitely a cool one to pick up. We transition down here, same thing with FF6. I have a Famicom copy of Chrono Trigger, which is again one of my favorite games of all time. You're probably noticing a theme here for some of the other RPGs that I have in the collection. But I love Chrono Trigger. This is a pretty cool piece to have. And then these are the last four of the Final Fantasy X Coca-Cola figures that released. They released a few different lines of these things, but I love the chibi ones the most. It has the cool Coca-Cola integration there with the logo and the bottles. And it features the rest of the main cast. We have Lulu, Kimahri, Riku, and of course one of the antagonists, Seymour. So pretty cool. Once again, pick these up off of eBay if you're interested, but they're definitely some of the cooler pieces to pick up. If we move down over here, nothing too special on this end. These are basically boxes for some PlayArts Kai statues for FF7 that I'll show you guys a little bit later in the video. But yeah, these are just some empty boxes here, nothing too special. Go down here to the next level. You guys can see there, this is a recent pickup. So this guy's another cool piece as well. This is Pokemon Ruby version, a limited edition coin that released when you pre-ordered the game back in 2003. This one obviously features Groudon since it's Ruby version. The Sapphire version has Kyogre, and it's just a really cool little item nonetheless. Love the Gen 3 games again, and had no idea this existed. So that's a pretty cool little pickup. If we look over here, we have a minifigure of May from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, one of the it's a Japanese line of minifigs from ORAS. So you have the male and female protags and then the starters and a bunch of other Pokemon from Hoenn. It's a cool little thing, nothing too special, it's not that big, but if you're interested in collecting more of the minifigs, those are all the ones that come in that line. So nice little pickup. We go over here to some more Final Fantasy VII stuff. This is a figure of Aerith from Crisis Core with her original outfit and design. Fun fact, this was actually the first ever piece I got from my Final Fantasy collection a few years ago when I started this entire thing. But I love this thing, picked it up off of Amazon. Nice little figure there from Crisis Core. Over here we have one of Vincent Valentine from the original Final Fantasy VII. This one's actually from the Advent Children line, but Vincent's outfit really didn't change too much. Not an expensive pickup currently if you're interested in getting this figure, but I love Vincent as a character, so obviously this one just made sense. We have another one here from the original line. This is Tifa in her original outfit from the original 7. Love Tifa as a character once again. This was just a really cool figure to pick up, also off of Amazon. Over here we have Sephiroth from Advent Children. His appearance really didn't change much either. This is a cool little figure too. Not a lot of wear and damage on it either. And it's in really good shape. Even has a pretty cool Masamune sword as well. So definitely a cool little pickup on that front. If you guys notice here too, this is part of the collection, but this was a custom Shinra box that a family member got me for Christmas because they know I'm a big fan of 7. If you look in here, this whole thing's custom, along with little orbs of materia. We have different colored materia for each of the different summons and magic spells, so this isn't really something you can buy. It's not an official piece of merch, but pretty cool little thing nonetheless. I absolutely love that thing, and especially the detailing on it for it being a custom piece. So, nice little addition there. You might be able to track down the original, I guess, seller, if you are at all interested. So if we transition down here, this is something I pre-ordered off the Square Enix store from the cafe. Once again, another Star Ocean piece. This here is a promotional slab that once again released in the Square Enix cafe right before the original or the remake came out. Nice little art piece there. I love how this thing looks. The artwork for the remake is amazing. If you played the game, you know. If you haven't, definitely look up some footage. It's a pretty good game nonetheless. Blends together that awesome pixel art from the original PS1 release. That's a cool little pickup there as well. That's a box for a figure I'll show you guys here later on in the video. We'll address that when we get to it. Down here, we have another Final Fantasy VII piece. This is a line of the Extra Knight figures, which I will show you here in a bit, but I have a complete figure line for all the Final Fantasy VII Extra Knight figures, which are arguably the rarest figures released from the original game. But over here, we have Tifa, Barret, Cloud, Aerith, Frog, and Chocobo. This was a big bundle pack that released with a collector's edition, if you want to call it that. This piece here is pretty cool. I picked it up from a local game store a few years ago. The bad part about this, while the figures are mostly in good shape, Cloud got a really nasty haircut. As you can see, some of the hair is shaved off. And if you also notice, one of the Chocobo feet somehow ended up impaled next to Cloud. So despite some minor damage, this box is in pretty good shape, and I really like how this thing turned out. So, pretty cool little addition nonetheless. If we transition up here, we have here a Vincent Valentine Extra Knights figure, the first one that I ever got. Surprisingly enough, this one isn't that expensive. It's only $35-40 off of eBay, so nothing too horrible if you're looking to pick it up now, but some of the other Extra Knight figures that we'll get into are far more expensive, but once again, cool figure from 7. Over here, this isn't an official piece of Chrono Trigger merch, but this is a tin poster that I picked up off of Amazon for like $10. This is actually pretty nice, really nice artwork and detailing on it. So if you're looking for a cheap Chrono Trigger display, if you're a fan, definitely go to Amazon. You can pick these up for relatively cheap. So pretty nice little figure, pretty nice little poster display there. Once again, if you're a fan. Down here, we also have some other merch. Over here, we can see the Final Fantasy VI keychain figures that I picked up off of eBay. They made a lot of these things. I haven't gotten around to really getting the rest of them because I've been focused on other games to collect for. These are pretty cool. Features a good chunk of the main cast. From left to right, Shadow, Gal, Strago. We have Sabin, Edgar, Celis, and Terra in her Esper form. So if you're a big fan of 6, despite the fact there's not a ton of merch, definitely check these out. They're really cool. Down here is also another new edition. I had no idea this existed for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This is depicting some kind of manga scene from the Delta episode from the ORAS release on the 3DS, where Steven Stone is interacting with the male protag. And I think it's right before they head off to try and use Rayquaza to stop the meteor. If you play the 3DS game, you know that little storyline. But this is apparently released in the Pokemon Center in Japan. It's maybe rare. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't get this for my phone, obviously. I don't even own an iPhone, but this here is just a pretty cool piece of Gen 3 merch that I came across and decided to pick up. So if you're interested, check out eBay. I think there's a few listings. Over here is another Horizons piece. This is a graded bromide I picked up for a few bucks off of eBay. Once again, I have a few Horizons things, mainly because I do like the anime and Liko as a character and the other members of the cast. But a bromide, for those of you who don't know, is basically the Japanese equivalent of, I guess, an art piece of some kind, like a card that has some good artwork on it. So this is pretty nice, all things considered. I really like this thing. The fact that it's graded was just an added bonus, but I love the postcard artwork that comes with it. Because I think if you flip it around here on the back, yeah, you guys can see there, this was released in probably a convenience store somewhere, or like with a pack of gum or food or something along those lines. It's a pretty cool little addition there. Nothing too crazy, but pretty nice. Down here, without going into it, this is a Star Ocean Second Story calendar, another very rare and unusual piece of Star Ocean merch. I went on a bit of a spree, as you guys have seen, when I first started playing the remake a few years ago. This is a pretty nice little addition, another piece of RPG merch. Once again, if you're interested in picking these up, definitely look them up on eBay. This thing was completely new when I bought it, and just features original artwork from one of the artists who worked on the original PS1 game, and they made a few editions of it. So, once again, pretty nice little piece. This here is a random one. I don't have a ton of 16 merch. This here is Shiva from Final Fantasy 16. I would argue that FF16 has the best summon designs of any one of them, and it's honestly true for every single summon in the game, like Shiva, Bahamut, Titan, whoever. But the Shiva one is really, really nice. I love the detailing on it, and it wasn't too expensive to pick up. So, nice little random Final Fantasy piece there. If we just transition up here, start showing you guys some of the other stuff that I have. So up here, another piece of FF10 merch. As you can see there, we have some big box sets here. The first one, which is Luna, or Yuna rather, from FF10. So Final Fantasy X had a big line of figures come out from a company called ArtSec or ArtFX that released a lot of these big figures of each one of the party members. I have one for Yuna here, incredibly well detailed, fairly big box. It was a little pricey off of eBay, but nice little addition nonetheless. And the biggest one over here, and the only other one I currently have, is of Tidus. This one here is the biggest box, given the fact that they detailed pretty much everything about Tidus's design. The only thing about this particular box, because I paid up for it a little bit on eBay, is that it doesn't have Tidus's Brotherhood sword. Which honestly, given the fact that this was cheaper than most other listings, I was fine getting the figure in the box without the sword. But another cool little piece of merch, but just keep in mind how big these displays are if you plan on getting them. But pretty cool FF10 merch. Up here, random piece I got off of Facebook Marketplace a few years ago. This is, I'm not sure of the company, but I know that they produced a line of Final Fantasy figures from 7, 8, and I believe 9 possibly as well. Not an incredibly detailed figure, but just a nice little random one to get for the collection. This here is one of Tifa from Advent Children, similar to the figures I showed you guys before from the Advent Children figure line from PlayArt Kai, who produced a lot of Final Fantasy figures actually. But this one here was a cheap pickup off of eBay. I like the detailing on the figure with boxes and a little bit of rush shape. And it doesn't come with the hands and the other accessories, but again, given the cheaper price, I was not going to complain. Down here are actually some of the cooler pieces of Final Fantasy VII merch I have. These are potion cans that released in Japan. Basically promotional soda that released with their own little boxes here, as well as minifigures that showed up in the can, as well as designs from each part of Final Fantasy VII. Like here we have Cloud from the original game, the Turks from the mobile game that no one really remembers. We have some artwork of Zack and other people from Crisis Core, like Sephiroth, Song, and I think that's Angeal. Then over here we have a scene from Advent Children with Kadaj on the bike before he fights Cloud. So these are all really cool. These cans were given out again as promotional, like mock soda items with the minifigs. Nice little addition to the collection here. I do intend on trying to pick up a complete set of them eventually, with maybe not necessarily the figures, but with the cans and the boxes complete. These are in really awesome shape, and I'm going to keep my eye out for the future. Over here, nice little random figure I found for not too much off of eBay. This here is an Advent Children beast. The name of it should be, Shadow Creeper. This is toward the start of the movie where Kadaj, Luzu, and whoever the other guy's name is, can't remember, but the Sephiroth remnants summon these creatures to attack Cloud at the beginning of the movie. So, nice little detailing on that there. Really don't have a ton of complaints or anything about the design. This was pretty cheap off of eBay, so it's a pretty nice little addition. If we transition down here, we can see Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, probably the biggest box set I have in the collection, with Cloud and his Fenrir motorcycle from the game. Really nice detailing on that. This was actually a graduation gift when I graduated from my bachelor's degree a number of years ago from some family members. Once again, knowing that I'm a Final Fantasy VII fan. Well, there's some pretty cool detailing. Box is in pretty good shape, all things considered. Motorcycle has a bit of wear from when it was displayed from the previous owner, but not a big deal. Cloud's custom sword from the movie, and of course, the Cloud figure itself. This thing takes up a decent amount of space, but it's really cool having a big box set from a surprisingly decent movie from a video game company like Square. I know people have different opinions on the Final Fantasy VII movie, but, you know, it's Advent Children's decent. So give it a watch if you're a fan. But the figure is at least cool. Now, if we go up here, this is where I start showing some of the other merch that I've gotten. And this here, guys, what I'm about to show you is a complete figure set, counting the Vincent one, of Extra Knight figures from Final Fantasy VII. So up here we have Cloud. Here we have Aerith. Good old Sephiroth himself. Down here we have Tifa. Over here we have Barret, Extra Knights. And then the Red 13 figure. Of all the ones that I just showed you, again, once again, a complete set. The Red 13 figure is the rarest and most expensive one, going about $100 or so depending on the eBay listing that you have. All the ones I showed you guys are in pretty good shape with intact boxes, except the Barret one is slightly damaged at the bottom where I had to retape it. but obviously the figure itself and the rest of the box is in pretty good shape. Bad part with the Red 13 figure, while the box is intact and the main figure's fine, his tail is unfortunately broken off. But again, given the price of it and how good a shape everything else is, I am not going to complain on that front at all. Down here is some more Final Fantasy X-2 merch, once again related to just an overall Final Fantasy merch line. We have two figures here of Yuna. We have her in her different dress sphere outfits. This one here is her original outfit from 10-2, and this down here is her songstress dress sphere. These are phone keychains. From what I understand, these are charms that you can attach to your phone, like little keychains that are an accessory. Once again, these were released in Japan exclusively, so it was kind of a fad at the time when 10-2 came out in 2003. But nice little random pieces of merch. These weren't too expensive either, so if you're interested in them, it'll probably run you about 15-20 bucks, something like that a piece. But if you're interested in them, definitely pick them up. Nice little pieces there. Over here is one of the newest additions and one of the coolest in my personal opinion. Once again, I'm a big Pokemon Ranger fan. This here is an actual display from the original Pokemon Ranger. And this was a sticker store display. Basically, they would take the adhesive off the back and they would put it in the front glass window of the store in order to advertise the game. Given the fact that Ranger came out in 2006, I believe, this is a pretty old and rare advertisement, as once they were done, they would take it out of the window and throw it away. I found an intact one off of eBay, and this thing is incredibly cool. Both protagonists, the male and female protag from Ranger, and one of two possible partner Pokemon with Plusle and Minun. So this is really cool. Love this thing. I put it up with a bit of tape because I'm not taking the adhesive off the back. I want to preserve this thing. So this is another cool piece of rare video game advertisement for the collection. Really love how this thing turned out. Over here, guys, we have another Chrono Trigger tin poster as well. Once again, this thing didn't cost me a lot of money, but the artwork from the late Akira Toriyama, rest in peace, did an amazing job on the artwork for Chrono Trigger, and this is just a really cool tin poster to pick up from one of the official artwork scenes. If you're interested, definitely pick this up for, like, again, 10-15 bucks. This is a really cool addition. And this was the other display that I got early on. This is a Final Fantasy VII wall scroll. This isn't official merch, but it was a nice display somebody made. Basically, this was part of a strategy guide, I believe. I'm not sure if it was the Prima guide or the Brady Games guide. But this here is basically a piece of artwork from the strategy guide that someone turned into a wall scroll display, and it features all the party members on there. This is really freaking cool. Love this thing. And yeah, definitely one of the cooler banners that I have. This over here actually, once again, is not official merch. This features the FF7 cast in their Advent Children attire, which takes place, I think, 2 years after the events of the original game. This is actually fan art, believe it or not, that somebody created, and they turned it into a wall scroll. So this is a pretty cool little addition as well. Love this thing, and it's just a really nice piece of Advent Children merch if you're interested in some original artwork. Bad part is at the bottom. A little while back, the bottom of it got damaged, so I had to prop it up and other means with some push pins, unfortunately. But it's still a nice little display to have regardless, so definitely really like this thing. We'll transition over here with a random KH2 poster. Over here is another piece of framed merch. So a few posters that I got, I really liked so much that I wanted to preserve them, so I ended up getting these framed up. And this here is FF6. Someone took the cover art of Terra on the Magitech armor in Vector, which is the city of the Empire, and they made a poster out of it. And this is pretty cool. The poster itself was only about, I think, around 15-20 bucks. A lot of the posters that I have are pretty cheap. The frame job was not. That was around $70, I think, to get done at the time. So nothing really to sneeze at on that front, but definitely a really cool display to pick up if you're interested. We transition over here. This is a piece of Chrono Trigger merchandise. Once again, this is a custom-made poster, but I love this thing, how it turned out. You have each one of the party members up there on Epoch, above Guardian, 1000 AD. This here was definitely worthy of being picked up here to be framed. The poster itself cost around the same thing as the FF6 one, but this is just such an iconic shot of some awesome party members, and that view, you cannot beat that. Definitely pick up this poster. Whether or not you want to get it framed is up to you. Frame job cost me about the same as the FF6 one, but man, I love this thing. So definitely pick it up if you're a fan. But that's it for the random posters and displays that are up here. Not official displays or merch or anything, but just pretty cool posters to pick up as a fan of the games. Now we're actually going to get back into some of the official merchandise. So if we go over here, this is a box here for one of the original Final Fantasy VII figures. This one is a Tifa. This one here, I think, is a cold cast figure line that came out in, I think, 1998, 1999, something along those lines. But this is the box for it. The figure is actually down here, but still in pretty good shape. Over here is just a random copy of Advent Children on DVD that I picked up off of Amazon a while back. Again, decent movie, but nothing crazy. Up here is actually a funny story. This here is the only piece so far of Mechanical Arts, or the Mechanical Arts line from FF7, that features, I believe this is the Junon cannon, the cannon that Shinra controls in the city of Junon. It's a pretty nice one. I picked this up at a yard sale facility not too far from my house for, no joke, around $7. This thing on eBay right now is going from $80 to $100. So when I found this, I couldn't believe it. I picked this up at a massive discount, but it's a really cool piece. A little bit rough around the edges, as you can see, but the figure itself is really nice, and the mechanical arts are pretty unique with different locations and weapons from the series. So it's pretty unique, not just like a straight-up character figure. Over here is another box from some of the newer FF7 Rebirth figures. There's one of Tifa and one of Cloud like this. I ended up getting the Tifa one, still need to get the Cloud one. But you'll see the figure down here with the detailing, but the box itself is, again, in very nice shape. As we transition down here, you notice in the background I have Tifa and Yuffie over there. There were just some random keychains from a Japanese vendor of some kind that released around when the original game came out. Nothing too special, all things considered, but pretty decent. Over in the corner there is actually a Chocobo coin that a friend of mine got me for my birthday a while back. So nice little addition there, has its own little capsule. Gosh. And this is where we start getting into the actual figures themselves. So this here, guys, is an FF7 remake Tifa figure. As you can see here, has her design in the game. Nice little detail there. It's actually some of the boxes I showed you guys earlier. This figure is actually one of them. So it's really nice detailing on that. I've had this one for quite a while, and it's just a nice standee. Over here, though, I would say is probably the best Tifa statue that I have. This one here is one of the newer ones from Rebirth. Really nice design and pose there, as well as her dolphin blow move with some really nice coloring. I love the shading of the blue. Nice figure there, too. This one cost me a little bit off of eBay, considering these things are still new. The Cloud one features one of his limit breaks as well, so definitely keep an eye out for a sale on these if you can, but really nice little figure. This is the most detailed by far. This over here is from this box from the original FF7 statue cold cast line, once again of Tifa. As you can see, there's a very big difference in the design, so you can kind of tell which game the figure is from, so to speak. But this is the original design here, not much to say about it, but nice figure, and pretty old one at that. There's a little chip in the back of the hair there, but in good shape otherwise. Over here is one of Rufus Shinra. I really like this one too. This is Rufus from Advent Children. I still have all the accessories from the movie that he has, like his shotgun, the eye patch that he has to wear when he's suffering from apparent terrible geostigma. This is a nice little detailed figure too. This one was, I think, the 3rd or 4th ever statue that I got for my collection, so I've had this one for quite a while, since like 2022. But a nice figure. This one didn't cost a ton, so if you're interested, definitely check that one out. Really nice. And over here is probably one of the coolest ones. This is a Red 13 from Remake. I really love the design of Red here on this one. His hair, his tribal tattoos, the materia that you can see locked onto his collar there, and just his overall design from his flame tail, his legs, just everything about him is really nice. Red 13 is a favorite of mine from the original game. This is just a really nice piece to have overall. But that's about it for all the FF7 statues that I have. And I know you noticed this one over here. This is another piece of Gen 3 merch from Pokemon. This is of the female protagonist from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So I'm collecting for the games and the manga, obviously. And they have a number of these statues. This one happened to be the cheapest one I picked up for $60-$70. Because generally these figures that came out in 2016 for the video game protagonists, they are not cheap by any means. I still intend to get the other 3 that this company had made. The male protagonist from the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and the original Ruby and Sapphire. And then the female protagonist with the different outfit variant from the original Ruby and Sapphire. This is a pretty nice little detailed figure. If you've played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you'll recognize the design and the protagonist. You have a little mud kip down there too with a water effect, so pretty cool there as well. Now, we transitioned down here to some of the last pieces of merch for the video, and over here we have the FF7 Polygon figures. This was the first ever line of mystery box figures that they released. I unfortunately don't have the second line that had like Yuffie, Rufus, the Tarks, the Safe Point, the Shinra Soldier, and all that. But these are pretty cool as well. I really like the detailing, that they look exactly like the PS1 polygons. Because you have Reno, Sephiroth, Barret, Aerith, Tifa, Cloud, Red 13, and the Chase figure, which was Cloud and Drag from the Don Corneo portion of the game. So, definitely really cool lines here. I definitely want to get the other polygon figures from the second wave, so maybe I'll have to see if I can find them for cheap. And the last major piece that I want to show you guys here as well, one of the last pieces I almost forgot. This here is another Aerith statue that I got as well. This one's from FF7 Remake. This is a prize statue figure from Japan. So I haven't opened this one yet just because I don't have the room to prioritize other figures right now or statues. This one's in really good shape as well. Love the detailing on it. Aerith's remake design is really nice. And overall, this one didn't cost me a ton. It was like 40-50 bucks, so it's one of the cheaper ones. So if you're a collector, keep an eye on that one. But down here, guys, the last major piece would be, this is a Coca-Cola figure, similar to the Final Fantasy X ones I showed you guys. This is the only one of 7 that I have. They released 3 different lines of these. The chibi versions, like this one with Aerith, they had the life-size versions, and then they have a yellow cap variant. So there's a lot of them out there. Don't know when I'll actually get around to actually collecting these, but this one's a pretty cool little addition I found for almost dirt cheap off of eBay, so it was definitely worth picking up, and just cool overall. Another good piece of Final Fantasy VII merch. And that is it for today's video, guys. This was a long one as expected. I have had a lot of merchandise to show you guys across the board, whether it be from Final Fantasy VII, the Gen 3 Pokemon collection I've started from the Hoenn games and the manga, as well as some random assorted games mixed in here and there, like Star Ocean, Final Fantasy VI, and a little bit of Chrono Trigger. A lot of really good stuff here in this collection, mainly once again centered around Final Fantasy and Pokemon Gen 3. I love this thing. I've been building it for quite a long time, and I intend to get more pieces of it in the future. And of course, when that time comes, I'll make vlogs showing you some of the new additions. And of course, I'll make another video like this next year, showing the full expansive collection. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you did watch the entire way through to see the collection, thank you very much. I appreciate the support and hope you guys enjoyed seeing all the stuff I've built up so far. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section down below. Does anything in here stand out to you? Do you guys like the collection? Do you collect anything yourselves? Any pieces for your collections that you're looking out for? Let me know all that in the comment section down below. Give the video a like if you did enjoy it. It really helps out the channel and shows me what kind of videos and content you guys like to watch here. And of course, I'll gear more toward making those videos as we go. But thank you guys once again for the support. Subscribe to the channel if you guys want to catch future videos like this one with collection pickups, retro game reviews, and any other nostalgic gaming projects we get into. And once again, thank you guys very much. I love this journey. You guys are the reason why I make these videos in the first place, and it's just fantastic, all things considered. So thank you guys once again. I very much appreciate it. And that's all from me. Until next time, guys, this has been Ryan from the Nostalgia Factor saying, keep on gaming. I'll see you guys next time.